Step into a world where paradise is both elusive and infernal, where the boundaries between life and death blur, and where the most profound secrets of existence lie hidden. Hey everyone, A.l.l here, and welcome to my full-length explanation of Hell's Paradise, or Jigo Karaku's manga masterpiece. Today, we embark on a journey through each arc of this extraordinary story, from the captivating island arc all the way through to the riveting departure arc, delving into the brilliance that is Yukikaku's creation. Hell's Paradise is not your typical run-of-the-mill manga. It's a testament to the artistry of a mangaka who dares to push the boundaries of storytelling, weaving a narrative that resonates deep within our very core. The meaning behind Hell's Paradise goes beyond mere entertainment. It speaks to the human condition, probing at the essence of existence itself. One of the most remarkable aspects of Hell's Paradise is the world that Yukikaku meticulously constructed. It is a realm very much like our own world that fuses together an amalgamation of different religions, creating a rich tapestry of beliefs and mythologies. As readers, we're immersed in a universe where a variety of Eastern faiths intertwine, where humans and gods coexist, and where the line between good and evil becomes blurred. Throughout the exploration of these 4 arcs that make up Hell's Paradise, we will come to appreciate the sheer brilliance of Yukikaku's storytelling prowess. Jigo Karaku is a tale that engages both the mind and the heart. It challenges our preconceptions, delves into the depths of our souls, and leaves us yearning for more. Just before we do move forward though and spend the rest of our day discussing this beast of a series, if you want to watch more of these massive story explain videos just like this, but for a variety of different series, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and push this video to 5k likes so that I know you want more. Either way, sit back, grab some snacks and get ready as we delve into Yukikaku's masterpiece. As we kick things off, we find a young, restrained man who's just been betrayed by his comrades on a recent mission. Before bringing the sword down, he asks him for any parting words, but the infamous Gabimaru the Hollow simply replies, nah. So you see, decapitation demands exemplary sword technique, one in which only a few have ever been able to master. Typically, the spectacle turns into a brute fest that transforms the grounds into an arena of hell. However, as the sword comes down atop Gabimaru, it leaves everyone absolutely blown away once it snaps and clatters to the ground upon touching his skin. Having managed to survive the initial execution, Gabimaru wonders why he won't die. He knows that he doesn't have any kind of attachment to life, as to his core, he's a ninja, not someone who sees the value of life. Later on, during his sentencing, he's visited by an inspector who records his life story in excruciating detail. They go over everything from his parents, dreams, all of the attempts made on his life, how he actually wants to die, and finally, how he was betrayed by his village chief. Later on, and after witnessing another failed execution attempt, the same female questions Gabimaru, stating that he told her he wished to die, and yet it appears as though he just resisted his execution. She asks him why a man with no reason to live would do such a thing. Sitting there, Gabimaru explains that he was the best of the best in Iwagakure, and because of this, he was able to marry the daughter of his village's chief. However, after getting together, he couldn't tolerate her and requested a meeting with the chief to end it. Being restrained upon entry into the house though, the chief states that he would allow Gabimaru to leave her, but only on the condition that he would complete one last mission. Then out on that said mission, the moment he learned that he had actually been set up, he also realized that if he tried to evade capture, then the Iwagakure clan would track him down for the entirety of his life. So because of this, he decided to throw in the towel and give up. Then skipping forward to another series of failed executions. Like, oh my lord, the actual insanity and pure beauty of the art in this story is freaking phenomenal. Like look at this man after surviving the boiling pot. Anyways, so finally, the inspector who had been recording Gabimaru's past tells the other men around her that the preparations are complete. Having collected Gabimaru from his cell, he slowly walked to yet another room in which he assumes that they'll fail executing him again. Yet, after opening the door, it's revealed that the female who had been questioning him is actually a slayer named Yamada Asaemon Sagiri. So, this Yamada Asaemon is the name handed down over generations to the Ronin from the Yamada clan, who are known to be extremely skilled with a sword, and they train their blades by cutting down a multitude of different people. As Sagiri prepares to bring her blade down on Gabimaru, she tells him that his wish is granted. Sensing death approaching, he realizes that this woman is indeed genuine and instinctively flexes, destroying the shackles holding him restrained. Quickly darting in behind the ninja, Sagiri attempts to slice down on him with her katana, but Gabimaru swiftly dodges at the last second. Again dodging a quick flurry of strikes from Sagiri, Gabimaru starts to wonder why he's refused to accept his fate and die. As more fodder falls start to surround the duo, Sagiri tells him that their blade reflects one's true nature. Some may bluff and keep a brave face to the bitter end, some turn desperate and cling to life, while others deceive themselves into accepting death. To her, it's extremely obvious that there is a great emptiness within him, and it's fairly evident given the life he's led. She tells him that he does indeed have an attachment to life, stating that he loves his so-called dim-witted wife. To Gabimaru, her very existence gives him a reason to live in the first place. Lunging at her, Gabimaru attempts to slice Sagiri, but she easily blocks and confirms her theory. She wonders if he's refused to be executed because he still has feelings for her, but he's also tried to convince himself that he actually has no reason to live. Screaming at her to shut up, Gabimaru jumps back and yells, asking what the hell she would know about this messed up world that they live in. He is the infamous Gabimaru. Yet, as our broken man goes to scream the name that brings terror to the hearts of even the strongest men, he's cut off by a memory of his beloved wife telling him that he really isn't hollow after all. No, he's not the cold-hearted demon he's made out to be. He's full of kindness, and the only one who can stand to gaze upon her deformed face. After a small but super cute moment together, she says that this confirms it. There is no way that he could actually be hollow inside. Yet, in reality, now he continues to scream that he is Gabimaru the Hollow, a completely heartless monster. He tried his hardest to live a freak and normal life, but it's just not possible. Living somewhere peaceful, a normal life like ordinary people, he isn't allowed any of that. All of a sudden though, Sagiri disagrees with the statement and presents to him a document saying that he would be pardoned for his crimes by the shogunate if he could complete a certain task. He would have to travel to the other side. Confused about what she meant by this, Gabimaru asks if she meant death, but Sagiri elaborates that the other side is actually the Pure Land or Heaven, a revered holy realm since ancient times, a place of joy and plenty where none will suffer, which has just been recently found in the seas southwest far beyond the Ryukyu Kingdom. By the way, this Ryukyu Kingdom, or like the islands that the Ryukyu Kingdom was in, are the set of islands that hold Okinawa and stretch down towards like Taiwan and stuff. I wonder if Taiwan could be the like supposed land that they're referring to here, or I wonder if it's just a random island made up for the story, but it's quite cool to wonder if it could be part of our own world in general. Anyway, questioning the fairy tale like story, Sagiri explains to him that in pursuit of this elixir, the shogun had already dispatched a research team to the island. However, the single boat that had returned was filled to the brim with flowers and a foot with some organic material. Instantly, they sent out 5 more boats, but not a single person among them ever returned. As for the things that did, they could barely be called human. The next team to head to the island shall consist of those already marked for death. So because of this, Sagiri is here to actually recruit someone she sees fit. She seeks a man of talent, but someone still with a strong will to live. Sagiri explains to Gabimaru that his wife is still alive but has turned inwards from the moment he was captured and now speaks to no one and refuses almost every meal. Sagiri thinks that only one can guess what's on her mind, but tells Gabi she suspects that she's waiting on his return. And so, because of all of this that I've rambled on about, she asks him if he is still attached to his life. Will he travel to this crazy ass island with a bunch of goons to complete his pardon and return to his wife, as that is the only hope of ever having a reunion with her? Standing there with tears in his eyes as he remembers his wife's words of encouragement, he asks Sagiri if she wanted to see some ninjutsu. Then, as she responds affirmatively, he tells her to watch closely before sparks of fire start lighting, turning Gabimaru into a ball of flames as he states, Ninpo ascetic blaze. In an absolute blaze of power, Gabimaru effortlessly takes out every single one of the surrounding guards before taking the Demon Lord Sukuna's place above a pile of scorched men and confidently stating that she can count on him. He'll find the so-called elixir of life. Going into a flashback now, Sagiri remembers the first time she saw her father skillfully execute a criminal, so skillfully in fact that the dude didn't even realise what happened. From that day onwards, she wanted to pursue a career as an executioner. Later in her life, and after completing her first clean cut, she is congratulated by the clueless men nearby. Sagiri herself knows though, and is also reminded of her true weakness by her superiors each time she executes a criminal. It's explained that when there is still fear inside one's blade, that doubt and fear will deliver an agonizing death to the condemned. The blade reflects the truth in all things. A blade drenched with fear causes the condemned to suffer, which in turn weighs down one's blade even further. Being drowned in her fear, Sagiri wonders how it's even possible to overcome this. How is she ever able to rid herself of this fear and doubt like her father once had? Back in the present day now, we find all of the lawbreakers, along with the people who brought them to the capital, seated in front of the 11th shogun, Lord Tokugawa Nariyoshi. One of his goons explains the confidential mission being offered to them. If completed, it will give them a full pardon by decree of the shogun himself. Even still, after telling the criminals to remove their blindfolds, he shows them the amalgamation of flowers that had returned back from the land. One absolutely ripped dude, he's like, nah, I'm out of here, bro, I don't want to chill with these weirdos, gets up and goes to leave. Suddenly though, his head is cut clean off, as at that moment the same guard screams some more information, informing every criminal that they, the Yamada Asaemon, will accompany them to the island. This is mainly due to the fact that their death sentences are already determined, and they don't need anyone trying to flee once making it to the island. The criminals are told that if they make one wrong move or try to turn once landing on the island, then they'll instantly be taken out. Then, finally, just before ending his explanation of what awaits them, he states that they'd like to cut down a few other numbers, telling the multitude of ruthless criminals to go on and reduce the amount of participants. As the massacre begins, filling the fat shogun with glee, we see one young man who's obviously on another level when it comes to straight hands. Man takes out a few small fries before it skips over to a kunoichi, who, by herself, had apparently taken down a bunch of retainers in the Sagiwa castle the previous year. Back with Sagiri, she's approached by Yamada Asaemon Aizen, who was that guy who shanked the fodder criminal just before. Anyways, as the two begin to talk, he tries discouraging her from partaking in the mission, literally saying that she should be in the kitchen, not in the battle, which is just kinda crazy. Sagiri explains to him though, that she would have chosen that life if it was a possibility, but their clan test their blades on bodies and turn the remains of those fallen into medicine. So due to these circumstances, her life inherently revolves around the dead, and as much as she tried to ignore it, she just couldn't, as she knew from the time with her father, the blade reflects the truth in all things. A few criminals then try to attack Sagiri, but fail as she manages to decapitate them, but just like previously, she's instantly dragged down by the grotesque fear coursing through her blade. Noticing this, Gabimaru points out that she is still shaken when she takes a life, but states he'd rather avoid unnecessary killing, as to him that seems perfectly normal. Having overheard this, one of the guards points out to a large group of criminals and commands them to take down Gabimaru, stating that doing so will guarantee their participation. Seeing as he had no other choice in the matter now, Gabimaru proceeds to brutally murk all of the criminals trying to attack him. After seeing the Hollow himself literally go demon mode, Sagiri comes to the realization that instead of trying to kill without fear, she needed to try and bear the weight of her fear and the lives she takes, just like Gabimaru does. She sheds a single tear and declares that she will be the one to execute Gabimaru. So, after the complete beatdown that we just got to witness is finished, the participants are finally revealed. We have the Scarred Up G, Bandit King Azachobe, Blade Dragon Tamaya Gentetsusai, Hunter of the 100 Warped Kaon, everyone's favourite Narugai of the Sanka, the Killing Buddhist Prayer Harubo, Stray Ninja Gabimaru the Hollow, Cannibal Courtesan Akagainu, Kunoichi Yuzuriha of Keishu, Morumakaya the Opposite, and finally the Giant of Bizen, Roku Rota. Remember all of these names, along with like each disciples from the Yamada clan that will be paired up with them. They all kind of get revealed at different moments throughout the early moments of this island, obviously. Anyways, moments after the massacre was completed, all 10 survivors were loaded onto a large ship and sent towards their freedom. Supposed freedom, they would like to think. After arriving on the island, Gabimaru tells Sagiri about the Iwagakure's chief's immortal body and how the elixir of life may actually exist, though he doubted it would be on the island because of the unnatural environment. He then easily frees himself of his restraint, stating that they don't know what they could possibly encounter, but Sagiri refuses to allow him to do whatever he pleases and demands that he put back on the restraints. Not listening to her, Gabimaru instead goes on about the ridiculously small amount of supplies along with little to no direction on where to go once arriving. Stepping back, Sagiri holds her blade to Gabi's throat and commands him to rebind his hands. She reiterates that they are not partners, she is his executioner, and should he fail to find the elixir, well, she simply couldn't care less. Clearing her voice, she once again tells him to bind his hands, in which after sighing he replies that he gets it and rebinds his hands, stating that he'll go along with these little rules, but only up to a certain point. Then out of freaking nowhere, Gabimaru suddenly bends his neck back like a snake, dodging a thundering strike from Warped Kaon. Having bounced back out of the way, Gabimaru instantly points out to Sagiri that the criminal's arms were not restrained, which I absolutely love, like that instant rebuttal. Anyway, overreacting herself, Sagiri questions the rank 2 sword tester Yamada Asaemon Kisho as to why he wasn't following the rules. Thinking that he's been ignored by the Hollow, Kaon charges at Gabimaru and pulls out a full case of weapons to attack him with. He states that the weapons can only shine after they've bathed in blood, and soon his entire body will learn the beauty of his art. Gabimaru, who's just like blown away with the weirdness of this new opponent, explains to him that if he keeps up with how he's going, then eventually the other criminals will overtake him in his race to the elixir. Yet, Kaon rebuttals him as he actually thinks it'll be a best case scenario to take out all of the other competition first. Being left with no other choice, Gabimaru decides to take him out, yet Warped Kaon instantly charges in and attacks with a huge two-handed spear that shatters upon connecting with the top part of his head. Quickly, he changes his stance and sends the Hollow shooting back with a jab to his body with the spear. However, it had absolutely no effect on Gabimaru, who, like the legend he is, was just double checking to make sure his hands were still tied together. He then somehow manages to pin the spear under his arm and fling the giant upwards directly above him. With a bunch of the weapons falling down, he returns the falling weaponry that had just fallen out of the armory with some perfectly balanced kicks. Jumping back, Sagiri wonders if Gabimaru somehow defeated him with one blow, yet Kaon actually managed to survive after revealing that he was wearing a thick armor coating underneath his clothing. Getting back up, he states that their legendary Hollow skills sure are amazing, but they weren't legendary enough to pierce through his living armor. He prepares to fight Gabimaru once more, telling the small demon that he doesn't understand the use of weapons and couldn't display the beauty of his blade with his previous attack, but now he will teach him its true beauty. Yet, apparently this man is completely fodder and doesn't even deserve 3 panels explaining what happens, as instead, he's instantly finished by the scattered weapons that had fallen to the ground just previously. As Gabimaru walks away from the mess, he sighs and shows the surprise retainers he never even removed his bindings during the fight. Over with the other group, and while Rokurota was being transported, which is like the massive giant looking dude, it takes 3 vessels tied together to even pull this giant along. Looking at the size of him, the random staff members become worried, overthinking the possibilities that the giant could awake and go on a rampage. But Aizen, the school's rank 1, assures them that this is literally the reason they're here. No one is immune to their cuts. Back with our main group, Keisho had actually moved into attack, and it's revealed that Warped Kaon was taken by surprise, being murked in the process. Due to his prisoner dying, Keisho advises the others that he's going to head home, as he really doesn't have a reason to stay anymore. Sagiri tries warning him about the 60 men that we're missing on the island and helping with finding them, but the swordsman though just finds it a complete waste of time to be worrying about others, and in fact, considers himself lucky to be able to make an escape. He warns her that the criminals with them have already made their move. They're individuals who have never cared for society's laws, and the rules that the Shogun gave them should not be taken seriously since it might risk their chances of acquiring the elixir of life. In his eyes, rather than taking the rules literally, surely the Shogunate would be more pleased with success at any cost. He points out Gabimaru as a prime example, asking if she preferred he was cut down now and she run off. Having heard enough though, Gabimaru silences Keisho, getting all up in his face and telling him nothing else mattered, all he wanted was to get back to his wife. Keisho tells him to hurry up then, and snidely warns the Hollow Ninja that within a few hours, everything will have changed. Back with Aizen, and probably at somewhat of a similar time, seeing that the giant had risen, he asks him if he's hungry, but immediately notices the bloodlust emanating from his criminal. In a flash, the two don't even trade words, but immediately go to attack. Sadly, Aizen ain't living up to the aura that name holds, and was literally slapped like a bug by Rokurota. Honestly, a complete change from all of the other series within Aizen, plus with him being rank 1, I was also expecting him to be insanely skilled, yet we never even get to see his true potential obviously. As Keisho then continues his ominous statement, it darts around the outskirts of the island, revealing the dismay that has erupted in the other groups. Keisho explains that apparently an emissary was already headed to Iwagakure to help them with this mission. He knows the limits of his strengths and tells Sagiri that this mission will likely determine the next head of the Yamada clan. Then, with him having warned them about the coming possibilities, he finally makes his leave. Taking this all in, she tries to pass off the idea that Gabimaru would even make a move to attack her. However, just as she asks where they should go next, Gabi, looking shell-shocked, darts at Sagiri, trying to strike her down. Baffled and angered with the change in his attitude, she just asks him why. What could possibly be the meaning of this? Standing there, Gabimaru thinks back on the moments after his birth, and how his parents tried to escape the village with him, but were sadly slain. The Iwagakure's chief cruelly used this moment to shape the child, telling him to look upon their weakness. He states that because of his parents' sentimental love, it made them weak, and if he doesn't grow into a strong man, he'll end up like his parents, incapable of protecting even his loved ones later in life. Back in the heat of battle, and after learning what Keisho had to say about Iwagakure getting involved, Gabimaru knew that it would all be over for him. He won't have the luxury of taking time and protecting random people on his path to find the elixir, and because of that, he was left with no other choice than to take out Sagiri. Dashing in, the two let loose a flurry of strikes, causing constant sparks to fly off the clashing pieces of metal. Thinking herself, Sagiri wonders why she's hesitating. Why hasn't she been able to write him off as just another villain? Opposing her, Gabimaru, also confused, wonders why. Why is he wavering? Before then remembering his wife's words on how it's only natural that he doesn't want to follow through with taking her out. Instead, it's best to follow your sentimentality. He's different now. He isn't the hollow man he once was. It's not a form of weakness, but a form of